Good afternoon. Have you ever taken your children somewhere and wondered why they weren't enjoying it? Well, this happened to me last week in Corfu. Um, yeah, took the girls away, Becky and I, to a beautiful resort, Icos, Odysseia. Thought, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself, treat the girls, treat Becky and I. Renew is going well. I hadn't taken any money out of the business since starting in September, and I thought, you know what, I deserve it. Deserve a bit of a break. Even though I do like a holiday, but this was, I guess, a little bit of a reward for some hard work this academic year. So yeah, took our time in researching, trying to find the most child friendly, but also something that was going to work for Becky and I. Nice food, all inclusive wouldn't be something that I would usually go for, but with the girls, with some fussy, well, one fussy eater, one incredible eater, Izzy's amazing. I thought it could reduce the stress of trying to find some good restaurants that cater to all of us. So we settled on Icos Odysseia and were not disappointed. It was stunning. Never been to Corfu before. It was so green, mountains in the background, like that hazy blue sky that you get in the Greek islands. Albania, like 3 kilometers that you could see in the distance. And yeah, kind of sitting on the beach, crystal clear waters, that hazy sky as I mentioned, mountains in the background, fish, beautiful food, nice wine, everything that we could want. Good gym to get that kind of exercise in that I have to. Um, and yeah, and then somebody sent me a meme on Instagram without knowing how the holiday was going. It was something along the lines of holidays are expensive, and no matter how nice a place you go, your children will never quite appreciate it, or something like that. And I was like, oh Jesus, that really resonates. And Layla, unfortunately, she just wasn't herself. And if I compare that to skiing back in back end of December over New Year's, January, and I was actually watching the videos this morning ahead of recording this, just to make sure that I wasn't not making it up, but I think sometimes when things happen in the past, we can view them with a gold tinted lens, if you like. I think, oh, that was an amazing holiday. I had the best time. But actually, looking at the video, she just happier, more present, joking around, dancing, just completely settled with the holiday, first holiday, the four of us. And yeah, she wasn't that in Corfu. And this recording isn't about her and her challenges that she presented on holiday, although I will sort of list them now, which I'm sure every parent listening to this like, oh, what are you moaning about? You went to a beautiful resort and your kid was mildly challenging. She's an amazing girl with such wonderful qualities, empathy. When my nan passed away and Becky's mum, she really showed her strengths as a empathetic young woman. But stubbornness, wanting to pick where she sat, not wanting to sort of flex with what other people wanted to do, and her sister having to do all the flexing, which she's been amazing at doing since co-parenting and since the split. And it was okay to start with, you kind of trying to settle into the holidays, but it did become frustrating and quite draining, to be honest. Like issues that weren't really issues that just became issues, and I didn't understand why, but it impacted the holiday. We had a wonderful time, don't get me wrong. It's not me complaining. It was an amazing holiday, one that was very needed, but something wasn't quite right. So rather than, at the time it was, you're in the thick of things, and when you sort of reflect, and with my teaching hat on and parenting hat, and thinking, what can I do to understand this a bit more? And I think that's the key word, to understand it. Because I could tell her off, and I said this to her when we got back, and even during the holiday. I don't want to tell you off so that you just behave the way that you think I want you to behave, or because that's a short-term fix. I want to understand how you're feeling. Why do you feel the need to have to sit in a certain place? Is it a control element? Why were you withdrawn on the holiday? Is it to do with the co-parenting dynamic? And so that end of holiday conversation was really useful, and she said to me, although sometimes I think she knows what to say to me to get me off of her back, because I like to talk about things, and I want to try and understand, try and help her, not for ultimately my benefit, but I want her to grow up and mature and reach her potential, and understand her feelings so that she can deal with them better. And she said that it was a helpful conversation, and that getting things out there helped her free up her mind. And this post is about holiday, not about what's happened since. But after holiday, the same patterns have repeated. But I'll stick with this. One of the key themes was she felt guilty about having fun, which is where a lot of my frustration is drawn from with how the split transpired. And it made sense, completely present with our skiing holiday, having fun, enjoying it. And then there's been a few things in her life that have changed routine. So she's currently living with grandparents on my ex's side because of some house development that's going on, and that uncertainty, I think, has created, or partly to do with what we've been experiencing what we experienced on holiday, and what I've experienced since. And just that dynamic between her and Becky wasn't the same, and that word guilt really sort of stuck with me. But it's a good insight in terms of like the behaviour that's displayed, but trying to understand what's beneath it all, so that Layla can process things and move forwards a bit better next holiday, but just in general life. And I think my learning from it, as I said, the easy option would have been like, sort yourself out, stop behaving so immaturely. And don't get me wrong, there was times when I was a bit more pointed with how I spoke to her, but my curiosity, I suppose, over judging that behaviour has helped me and Layla to have conversations. And I've always felt like I've been pretty good since the split, since the co-parenting, in listening and understanding. And my thing has always been that constant 50-50 in terms of parenting and how often I have the girls. I love them more. But being consistent, always being there, being reliable, has always been hugely important to me, and still is. And I don't ever want her to feel like she can't speak to me. And so that was my reflection, and understanding her behaviour has helped her to open up. It's not the end of it, because I think further conversations and further maybe conversations with a neutral person are needed. But also realising that the holiday, I think I always try and do everything for the girls, like take them to Rome, try and experience Rome and see the Colosseum and the architecture and the history and the amazing food and everything that Rome brings. I take them to Paris, and the architecture, the beautiful city that Paris is, but in a different it feels different. We went there in the winter, but actually I can do things for me. And so that holiday, yes, I want the girls to have the best time. I always do. But actually it was something that Becky and I needed with what we've been through personally recently with losing my nan and Becky losing her mum. And so I don't want to feel guilty about having fun, but I absolutely don't want Layla to feel guilty for having fun. I said to her the other day, she's a child, she's 9, every day should be fun. I know she's been through a difficult period and at an age which probably is a difficult age to experience something like that, 7 and now 9, nearly 10, where she understands everything but isn't maybe quite mature enough to process things and understand and how to deal with them. So for me, I never want her to feel guilty about having fun with me, but even with my ex, with Siobhan, they're going to Disney World in the summer, and I would hate the thought of her thinking, oh, I better not be my true self here, because that might be the only chance she ever gets to go to Disney. So again, trying to show up, trying to be that constant in her life and show her that she can have fun and should have fun on both sides of the co-parenting dynamic. So yeah, little review from our holiday. Hope it helps. Hope you've enjoyed it, and see you next time. Cheers.